So can you tell me what is event loop in JavaScript?
Yes.
What is event loop in JavaScript?
So as we know that JavaScript is asynchronous and operations are performed from top to bottom, and the event loop is the execution of JavaScript, how the performance work, how the function runs, and how the performance runs. And it is like if the function is being called, it is asynchronous, like once the program will wait until the first function is completed and it will jump back to the next generation. So then event loop, we have a call stack, that is the execution stack, where JavaScript maintains call stack where function execution happens, and when function is called, it get pushed into a stack. And we have asynchronous operations like setTimeout, fetch, and DOM events are handled in the browser. And after the stack, we have a callback queue. In the queue, that once our asynchronous task is completed, its callback is added to the callback queue. And after that, we have micro task queues that involve promise.then, and after that, we execute the event loop functions order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell me what is a polyfill in JavaScript?
What is that?
Polyfill.
Sorry for that. Polyfill is a piece of code that is usually for Java missing features. Like if we can say, if you're working on a legacy code and there is something in a function that cannot be executed in the latest browser, then we have to write a polyfill in that piece of code to execute in the latest browser. If it is not supportable for, we can say for Safari or Chrome or Edge, so we have to write a polyfill for that, and it can include like array dot includes, and we can write the function for that. Should I write any function?
So
Yes.
what do you know what is course?
I mean, course errors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so course error is the cross origin resource sharing, like we are sharing data from one platform to another, and there's a security mechanism enforced by browser for restricted request. And there is one thing that we need cause by default in the browser for same origin policies. That is like example of we use block request to set that. Like if we can say, if we have a request of HTTP and some URL.com to tries to fetch another API from another resource that are being blocked.
Yeah.
We can should I tell how can we? As if for now, we are currently, if we get any course error, we ask the backend team to add something in that API of the backend, and we get controls. But I know somewhat how it does it follow. The API server must include the access control allow origin in that, in the headers part.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is destructuring in JavaScript?
Destructuring in JavaScript, like instance of all object destructuring, or in array destructuring, all can I count?
Object destructuring.
Okay, so like we know there are two types of destructuring, object and array. So we can distribute array that it can create a copy. We use rest operator dot 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 before defining an operator if we want to use it. Like if we say, if there is a object const person named John and age, we can consolidate that. And if we want to destructure it, we can write const bracket name comma age and equals to person, and we can define it by that, and we can reuse it by passing rest operator to that. So we can add new values.
What?
We can also destructure parameter function parameters as well.
What is tree shaking in JavaScript?
Like tree shaking is that like
tree shaking.
If a Java
tree shaking.
Yeah. Tree, that
yeah.
DOM structure tree.
Yeah.
Like everything in JavaScript is defined in the shape of tree in a DOM, and every child has a subchild. So if tree shaking is like when JavaScript, we can say JavaScript bundles like Webpack, we use to remove unused, or we can say dead nodes that are not being used in the code file bundle. And we can say how tree shaking works is that we analyze import and export statement, if it is being used or not unused, and if it is not being used, like if there is a function or any import that is not being used, we can remove it. And it optimizes the code by reducing the bundle size of the code.
Okay.
We can do it manually and by Webpacks as well.
Okay, got it. So what is the difference between object.freeze and object.seal?
Object.freeze and
object.seal.
I'm not much aware of that, but I know
it's okay.
what object.freeze is. It is for fully immutable, prevent adding or removing and modifying properties of an object.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Like the properties can only be seen but cannot changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the generator function in JavaScript?
What?
Generator function.
Generator function is a special function that we can pause an event or execution and resume it later, and it allow lazy evaluation. Like, can I write a syntax for that in the chat box?
Yeah, it's okay. You can tell me. Just tell me. I will go into this later. Yeah.
Like a generator function is a function that defines its function star and in syntax, and we can use yield keyword to pause the execution. Like if there is function star my generator and bracket, inside the bracket we can write yield first, yield second, yield third, and then we can console it and it will operate by the yield. Yield pauses the first execution, pauses the execution, and dot next is a function that we can get to resume it.
Okay.
Yeah. When all yield statement are being executed, we get another console. If we are consoling that will show done true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is spread operator in ES6?
Spread operator in like ES6 features.
Yeah.
Let me phrase it accordingly. It is similar to kind of rest operator. It expands the element of an array or object into iterable individual elements. Like if we say there is a const number array 1, 2, 3, we can console spread operator and numbers. So we can see what is that. So we can copy it, array 1, array 2 equals to bracket spread operator array 1. So it will get a copy of array 1.
Okay.
And we can also merge it as well.
Okay.
Like if there is a merge, const merge, bracket, spread operator array 1, comma spread operator array 2, and if we console the merge array, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for that instance.
Okay, got it. So do you know difference between promise.resolve and promise.reject?
Yes, promise.resolve and promise.reject is the properties of promises that shows what kind of state we have gotten in the promise response. Like if a promise has been, is the promise, we can say if the promises are fulfilled, that is promise.resolve, and give the values. Resolve value can only be any data or another promise, we can say. And reject is a state when the promise has been not completed and it is given error for some reason. It is typically an error, but it is in object form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I write for that?
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Okay. So can you tell me? Let's have some CSS questions.
Okay.
So what is layout thrashing in CSS?
Layout?
Thrashing.
Thrashing. Can you explain what thrashing does?
Yes.
Like in thrashing in sense of lazy loading or
yeah,
operation
no,
of
it's
that?
actually it's a refers kind of like a performance issue that occurs when browser repeatedly faces some layout.
Yeah.
At that time. Yeah.
Okay, we can like it is less like we can add a threshold keyword. You're saying for like if we can say point some fight word, that CSS will be applied later on that part.
Okay. Yeah. So what is the difference between display none and visibility hidden?
Display none and visibility hidden is that in display none we do not occupy that space, and but in display hidden that space has been occupied.
Okay.
That major difference is that, and for none it is completely removed from the element, and even the layout does not require the space, and element is not interactive. And same vice versa goes for hidden one, that element is there, it is hidden, but it does require the space, and the layout is there. If there is a div, it will require that space. It is not visible. An element is still not interactive, but cannot be clicked, like in that sense.
Okay. Have you used Tailwind CSS?
Yeah, I've used Tailwind CSS. I've been using it lately.
How different from Bootstrap?
It is like if we see classes in sense, it is similar to Bootstrap, how classes are being defined, but in a sense of working and performance, Tailwind is very far different than Bootstrap. Like we can say, in Bootstrap we have component-based frameworks, while in Tailwind we have utility framework. And customization, we can say, use pre-built themes and overrides, and it is Tailwind is fully customizable via configs, and Bootstrap is larger in size, while we can say Tailwind is smaller in size in the sense of bundle JS bundles. And learning curve is higher in Tailwind, while it is very easy in Bootstrap to work around.
Okay, let's have some React questions. Okay, so can you tell me what are the hooks you use in React?
All hooks and custom hooks as well.
Okay.
Like very simple hook that we first use as useState is to define the state of the component, and which works as a component did mount and component did update. We have useEffect that handles the side effects on the useState, and it is useful for API calls and event listener. We have useContext for access control, like we can pass value without prop drilling. And we also have useReducer, which is an alternative for useState. We have useRef for manipulating the DOM, and the main ones are the useMemo and useCallback for getting the memorized value. And useMemo, we get the memorized value of a function, while in useCallback, while in useCallback, we get the memorized value of that function to avoid unnecessary re-render.
Okay, what is the significance of React.memo?
React.memo help us to memorize the value of function, like what the function is returning its value, so it avoids unnecessary render. Like if there is a page for a counter or something like that, if we define a value of the counter, so if unless the value of that counter is changed, the page will not re-render. This will avoid the unnecessary rendering of the page.
Can you explain the concept of render props in React?
Render props?
Yeah.
So render props is an event that we can say what is performing on the page and how the pages will change. Render props is pattern in React where a component share logics from parent to child or passing it from one to another. So for rendering props, we use useState if we are passing it from one component to another, and it is useEffect also for making side effects on the useState, how we can change the value of that specific useState.
Okay.
Yeah, we can also do it by higher order component. Like render props and higher order component are different scenario to be compared about.
Okay.
In render component, we pass a function as a prop, and in higher order component, we wrap a component inside it.
How can you implement in infinity loading in React?
Infinity loading?
Yeah.
Like at a loading spinner on something?
Yeah, infinite loading means like in Flipkart, you will keep on scrolling, like it will.
Oh, that is a lazy loading of page scroll, infinite scroll we are saying about.
Yeah.
Yeah, infinite scroll can be achieved like there's a page pagination in a thing, like if we are getting data of page size 10, and when we scroll down to the bottom, we make another call for which that API for the paginated, and we pass another page size of 10. So until that paginated call is going on, we give a loader on the bottom to define that we are getting more value, and unless that value are being fetched, we place it in the bottom of that page. So it gives us a display of infinite scroll.
Okay. What are the potential drawbacks of using useEffect for component lifecycle?
useEffect for component. Let me raise it and see the drawbacks.
Yeah.
Just give me a sec.
Yeah, please.
We perform component did mount, component did update, and component will unmount, that is clean effect. And one thing is that I can remember as of for now is useEffect runs after the render, not during the render. Like if we are using.
Yeah, I can tell some of these like infinity loops, clean, like missing some of the issues arises. Yeah.
Yeah, that is like if we are updating a state and if we miss some dependency on that part, it will not update until the page is refreshed. And even if we are updating all the dependency, it is making the page size heavy. So we have to have a cleanup function for that as well. And rendering of each event that has been performed, and multiple use effect calls make lead to performance issues, which I've mentioned in multiple dependency or multiple use effect. Okay. And if there are multiple use effect, it is harder to manage the control update order, like which use effect is running and which is asynchronous after that.
Okay. How to implement server-side rendering in React?
Okay, implement server-side. Like there are some there is one dependency that we can install in a node module, and we can also add server-side rendering in the HTML component as well. The client receives the props re-render HTML. Like if we in Next.js also, like I've been working and seen how server-side rendering is work. And can I tell in Next.js perform aspect or only in React?
Only in React.
Oh, okay, only in React. We can achieve it by using React DOM/server and combination of that. Like we can create a React component with client side and setting up Express servers.
Okay.
We can use React/DOM server to convert the React component into static HTML. Okay. It sends a pre-rendered HTML. But if we are working on Next.js, it is very useful in that sense. We can get static state props and derived state props for the real-time update also.
Okay. Right. Can you write a function which will flatten a multi-dimension array?
Okay. Should I write in chat box or should I share my screen and write it in any sandbox or Fiddle?
Yeah, you can share your screen and write it.
Flatten in object or an array?
Multi-dimension array. You should flatten a multi-dimension array.
In chat box or in Fiddle?
Yeah, Fiddle.
Yes. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah. Okay. How do you programmatically focus an input field?
Yes.
How do you programmatically focus an input field?
Didn't got you.
How do you programmatically focus an input field?
Oh, focus. We can use CSS class focus on focus for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if we are focusing, there are also types of focus. Like if we have to focus when the user is there on click, on hover, or on key press. That is like not specifically not CSS, but an attribute for input field only.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can you optimize performance of a React application?
What?
How can you optimize
Like performance? Yeah, we can optimize by tree shaking, bundle sizing, and code splitting. We're providing lazy loading, using callbacks, and use memo for that essence. And there are more features we can use. Higher order component also. React memo and callback for the unnecessary re-render and avoid callbacks in that sense.
Okay. So what have you ever used context API?
Context, yeah, I have used context API. Context API can be used to avoid prop drilling. Like if we can provide, we can wrap the product in the provider, and we can easily manage state in that, and it proves improved readability in sense. And we can say that if the component is higher in larger in size, then which we cannot use state, but we cannot use redux in sense, then we should go for use context API.
Okay.
It is for mid-level.
For large level application, what will you use?
We will use redux.
Okay.
Central state management.
Okay. So can you tell me some of the cons of the redux for the large scale application?
For larger applications.
Yeah.
We can say in Redux it is not asynchronous. We have to use Redux middleware for that sense, and it is the learning curve is it is a bit complex to learn, and the boilerplate is not easy of Redux in that sense. Like the problem is that if we use the introductions and a lot of boilerplate of code actions and reduces and store setup, which is easy for long-time coder, but for newbie it's difficult, and it makes the code base to look higher, and it is a steep learning curve in that. We can use if it is a mid-scale, we can use context API plus we can use reducer,